All right, yes, okay. Our Just be close enough to read your title, Ed Ettinghausen and his speech, The Dilemma, Ed Ettinghausen.
Most kingdoms are famous for brave heroes like knights in shining armor, dragon slayers, wise wizards. Not my kingdom. My kingdom is famous for jesters. Not just any jesters, jesters named Ed. I happen to be the 27th generation of Jester Eds. Our story begins long ago at 12 minutes past 2 in the morning when a baby boy was born on a pleasant little farm. And when he came out, he had a smile that was so bright, it made the roosters start cock-a-doodle-dooing 2 hours too soon, and the moon had to put on sunglasses. Well, not to be outdone, his baby twin brother was born just 3 to 5 minutes later, and he had a coo so soothing it put the roosters back to sleep. It made the moon start singing lullabies. Now, when the midwife ran to the record keeper to tell him the story and to give him the names, he said, "Ma'am, this is too early in the morning. I'll write it down in the morning." But in the morning, all he remembered was stories of roosters and moons. And so he gave these two twin boys the name of their father. Their father's name was Ed Sr. He named them Ed's sons. Ed's sons grew up in a normal home. They learned how to do the chores around the farm. They also learned some very important, valuable skills like juggling and storytelling and singing songs of the pleasant peasant life. Tales of their entertainment spread far and wide, eventually to the royal court. And at the age of 18, they were called before the king and given the title of royal court jesters. All was well and good in the land until tragedy struck. One day, the keeper of the court treasure was on a 17-foot tall ladder, stacking gold coins when he tumbled head first into a vat of gold coins. The poor man had a royal pain in the neck, a broken neck. Well, at that point, of course, they needed a new keeper of the treasury, and they sent word out, and people came from far and wide. One man came, and he claimed that he could count to 1,000 without taking a breath underwater. Another said he once balanced a checkbook sitting on top of a 13 3/4 foot pole while blindfolded. And then in walked the man with the swagger never seen before, with an accent that was so sophisticated. It was Juan de Carlos de Magnifico. And the most amazing thing about Juan was his wide mustache. It was so large it could balance the coins of the kingdom on both sides. Well, 3 weeks from then was the great royal feast to the nobles. And the night before the feast, the kingdom was abuzz. The cooks sharpened their finest cutlery. The musicians sharpened and tuned their instruments. The nobles put aside their best silk suits. The morning of the feast of the nobles, something was amiss. The treasury was empty. Not a single gold coin, not a jewel, not even one single foil mint chocolate. The only thing that was there were 2 strands of Juan de Carlos, whatever he called themselves, mustache. Well, this can't be. It was just terrible. The cooks cried. The musicians played a funeral dirge off key. The king laid down with a splitting headache. But the 2 jesters stepped forward and said, "Fine people of the kingdom, we can still have a feast and everyone can be involved. Bring what you can." And so the bakers brought baked goods. The farmer brought his finest foods. Hunters brought game. One little lad even brought a ladle so full of holes that should have been used as a fish net. The feast took place. It was merriment that had never been seen before. Lots of singing and dancing. the nobles with the peasants of all shapes and sizes. The king stood up, and everybody silently waited. He wiped a tear from his cheek, and he said, "This is the finest feast we have ever had. From this day forward, it will always be all the peasants involved, because the treasure is not from my gold, it's from the hearts of the citizens. The Edsons, come forward. I now proclaim you as keepers of the royal court treasury, because everyone knows 2 Eds are better than 1."